Winfield Scott Cunningham was the officer in charge Naval Activities, Wake Island, when the tiny island was attacked by the Japanese on December 8, 1941. Cunningham commanded the defense of the island against the massive Japanese attack. After 15 days, he surrendered the island to the Japanese. Cunningham was taken prisoner and held as a POW in Japan. He was awarded the Navy Cross for his leadership at Wake Island. Early life. Winfield Cunningham was born on February 16, 1900 in Rockbridge, Wisconsin. He was the son of Frederick Michael and Ruth Ella Cunningham. Cunningham attended high school at Camp Douglas. Military career. In 1916, at the age of 16 and after completing his junior year in high school, he was appointed to the United States Naval Academy. Because of World War I, his class of 1920 was graduated early. On June 6, 1919, Cunningham was commissioned an ensign and his first assignment was on the naval transport US Martha Washington, which brought troops home from France. He would then spend the next 2 years on ships off the coast of Turkey. In January 1922, aboard the US Huron, he sailed for China where he would spend the next year and a half. Returning to the U.S. on May 3, 1923, he was promoted to lieutenant, with his promotion backdated to June 7, 1922. While serving in China, Cunningham applied to enter aviation training. Though turned down in this first request, he put in requests several times and was finally accepted in 1924. On February 14, 1925, he reported as a student naval aviator to Naval Air Station Pensacola, Florida. While in training, he was promoted to lieutenant on June 7, 1925, and was designated a naval aviator on September 11, 1925, becoming an aviator qualified in both fighters and flying boats. Wake Island on November 28, 1941, Cunningham, by now a commander, reported for duty as officer in charge, all naval activities, Wake Island. His command briefing gave top priority to completing the naval air station, over any attention to improving the island's defenses. On December 8, 1941, news of the attack on Pearl Harbor reached Wake Island at 7 o'clock, less than 2½ hour after the Japanese struck. Cunningham ordered all personnel to battle stations. At the same time, Major James Devereux, commanding officer of the Wake Detachment of the 1st Marine Defense Battalion, ordered a call to arms. Cunningham recalled the Philippine Clipper and set in motion plans for a scouting patrol. It was to take off at 1300. However, a bombing attack by the Japanese began at 11:57. The bombing continued for days. On December 11, Japanese warships approached the island. Cunningham ordered the Marine commander, Major Devereux, to hold the fire until the ships were in easy range. The small U.S. force on the island repulsed the initial landing attempt, but they were in serious need of additional supplies and support, including gun sights, spare parts and fire control radar, which Cunningham requested from the Commandant, 14th Naval District. But no reinforcements were to come. Wake remained under attack by the Japanese. After 15 days, with Japanese Marines finally swarming over the island, on December 23, 1941, Cunningham finally gave the order for surrender. Cunningham, along with surviving personnel and contractors, were taken captive. Prisoner of war Cunningham and his fellow prisoners were taken aboard the Japanese transport Nitamaru to Shanghai, China by way of Yokohama, Japan. Treatment was harsh. 5 POWs were executed on board, and some of the imprisoned contractors left on Wake were later executed. Twice during his captivity, Cunningham attempted to escape and was later recaptured by the Japanese. During his captivity, he lost over 70 pounds. On August 18, 1945, after 30 days of confinement, the Japanese prison commander announced the end of the war. On August 24, 1945, Cunningham left China aboard a U.S. Army aircraft. He finally arrived in the U.S. on September 4, 1945, the same day Wake Island was formally surrendered by the Japanese. Returned to the U.S. on September 10, 1945, Cunningham underwent a complete physical examination at the National Naval Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland. He was found fit to return to duty. On December 4, 1945, he received notice of his promotion to captain, effective June 20, 1942. In January 1946, he began a period of retraining, beginning with refresher aviation training at the Naval Air Station in Pensacola, Florida. In May 1946, Captain Cunningham returned to sea duty as the commanding officer of the seaplane tender Curtis. During his time as commander, Curtis operated with patrol squadrons in the Formosa Strait, ferried men and supplies to outlying bases, and made several visits to Tsingtao, China before returning the United States in March 1947. Cunningham's final duty was as commanding officer, Naval Technical Training Center, Memphis, Tennessee from June 23, 1947 until his retirement on June 30, 1950 at the rank of Rear Admiral. Retirement. After retirement, Rear Admiral Cunningham lived in Memphis, Tennessee. He wrote a book, Wake Island Command, about the historic battle. He died on March 3, 1986 at age 86 and was buried in the Memphis National Cemetery. Awards. Navy Cross Citation. The President of the United States of America takes pleasure in presenting the Navy Cross to Commander Winfield Scott Cunningham, United States Navy, for extraordinary heroism and distinguished service in the line of his profession as Commanding Officer, Naval Air Station, Wake Island, where he was responsible for directing defenses of that post during the Japanese siege from 7 through the 22nd of December 1941, against impossible odds. Commander Cunningham's inspiring leadership and the valiant devotion to duty of his command contributed in large measure to the outstanding success of these vital missions and reflect great credit upon the United States Naval Service. General Orders. Bureau of Naval Personnel Information Bulletin Number 317. Action Date. Bibliography. Cunningham, Winfield S. Wake Island Command, Boston, Little, Brown & Co., 1961. Sloan, Bill. Given Up for Dead. America's Heroic Stand at Wake Island. New York, Random House, 2004. Print.